Hello class, I hope you're enjoying the reading this week. Externally Focused Church is one of my favorites when it comes to helping a church get on track with the mission of God and understand what the call is of Christ for the world. I want to reiterate some things that we're learning from the book, and that is that size has nothing to do with our ability, the church's ability, to be external in their focus. And the operative word there is the word focus, because really this is about a mindset. Remember, Jesus is teaching, where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, there I will be also. So it's not that God doesn't use large groups of people together. He very well can. It's not that God can't use one person, but you know, where there's just a few people that come together on the common ground of mission in Christ, amazing things can happen when we learn how to think properly about that. And up to this point, that's really what we've been studying these first 3 weeks. We've been laying a foundation pertaining to how to really think properly when it comes to mission. Now we're going to be moving into some more practical aspects of how to actualize, if you will, God's mission in the world. You know, location is not part of what it means to be external and focused either, although we often associate ministering to the needs of the community exclusively with urban churches. Externally focused churches may be found in urban areas, of course, or rural areas, or suburban settings, or a mixture of any of the three. You know, of the 340,000 churches in North America, tens of thousands are not located in an urban setting, or in a downtown, or in a city, or even in a poverty-stricken area. All of these churches, we say, however, can be external in their focus. They can engage the mission of God in very real and practical ways. You know, a few years back, I moved from the state capital of North Carolina, Raleigh, pastored Raleigh First Church there for some years, to Decatur, Illinois. That was a very difficult transition for my family and for me, because after 8 years of ministry in Raleigh, and after working really hard to become a very real and intentional church and presence in the inner city, we suddenly found ourselves living in a smaller Midwestern town, in a neighborhood very different from the poverty-stricken area that we oftentimes associated with on the south side of Raleigh. You see, Raleigh First Church was on the south side again of the state capitol, and you didn't have to look very far to find homeless populations and homeless communities, people sleeping under bridges. Over the years, we had become very connected with the homeless community there on the south end of the state capitol. We were part of an association called Church in the Woods, where we would go every week and feed those communities. I mean, take them sandwiches and set up tables and chairs and have worship services with the several hundreds of people that live there off the interstates and in the woods surrounding that area. We worked with the Raleigh Rescue Mission for quite some time there. We worked with other inner city ministries that were focused on the well-being and the spiritual health of the city's residents. But when I moved to Decatur, Illinois, I found myself sitting in an office, gazing out a window, looking at $500,000 houses. You see, Raleigh First was on the south side of town in a very poor area, but Decatur First was on the north side of the city in a very affluent area, the most affluent neighborhood in the town. And so I struggled with that. You know, I struggled with the tension, and the tension in my spirit was very heavy. That is, until some time passed and God began to work in my heart, and He showed me that mission was about more than I could have ever dreamt. The tension in my spirit was heavy until I got to know the heart of my new church. And when I got to know the heart of Decatur First Church, what I realized is that it didn't matter where the church was located. What mattered was their heart and their willingness to engage the mission of God. You see, Decatur First was deeply committed already, deeply engaged in making a difference in that city. They had an adoption ministry that was out of this world called Treasured Adoptions. They were an advocate for orphans all over the world. There were over 60 adopted children in the congregation when I arrived. They were helping families continually work through the adoption process, raising funds and everything that goes with that. They had a food and clothing closet called Helping Hands that fed over 5,000 people a year, already in place before I got there. They had an addiction and recovery ministry called Celebrate Recovery that was reaching 50 to 70 people on a weekly basis. They were having a worship service every Thursday night with those folks. They had a local mission team. I mean, my point in telling you all this, they were also involved in developing and starting a healthcare clinic in downtown Decatur. My point in telling you all this is that they were already doing it. Just because they were removed from the city did not make them any less effective in engaging the city in mission. You see, Decatur First embraced and understood what God had called them to do in the world. So again, an externally focused church, they are not determined by denomination or style or size. No single denomination has an inside track on how to make an external impact. I mean, seeker-sensitive churches, purpose-driven churches, mega churches, small churches, equipping churches, multi-ethnic churches, house churches, multi-site, multi-campus churches, all of these things can maintain their distinctive characteristics and still be externally focused. To be externally focused means returning to the reason your church was founded in the first place. Being externally focused cuts across denominational and all kinds of other lines. Being externally focused is about perspective and purpose more than program or anything else that the church might be trying to engage. And once the church decides to become externally focused by joining the life of the community, the possibilities of how it engages the community are endless. Consider the words of Rousseau and Swanson when they say, critical mass is one person with a vision.